The first time I realized something was wrong, I was standing outside my own office door, holding a cup of coffee that had already gone cold. The nameplate was still there, my name, but the lock wouldn't turn. I stood there longer than I care to admit, listening to the hum of the building waking up around me. The elevator dinged somewhere behind me. Someone laughed down the hall. Life went on, steady and indifferent, while my key refused to recognize me. I remember thinking, this must be a mistake. That's what we tell ourselves when our world starts to tilt, that it's temporary, technical, harmless. I had no idea that moment was only the surface of something much deeper. Something personal. Something that had been growing quietly right under my roof, right under my love. Before all of that, my life was ordinary in the best way. I built my consulting firm from the ground up, long nights, cheap takeout, spreadsheets spread across my dining table. I didn't inherit it. I didn't marry into it. I earned every inch of it with tired eyes and steady hands. The office wasn't fancy, beige walls, second-hand furniture, a coffee machine that whined like it resented us. But it was mine. And then there was my daughter, Lila. She grew up watching me work, doing homework at the corner of my desk, swinging her legs while I balanced accounts. She knew the sound of late-night phone calls and the smell of printer ink better than most kids knew bedtime stories. When she graduated college with a business degree, I felt a pride so deep it scared me. "Come work with me," I told her one evening over dinner. The chicken was a little dry. The rice was overcooked. I remember that because I was nervous. Learn the ropes. Then decide what you want. Her smile that night was soft, grateful, or at least I thought it was. At first, everything felt right. Lila brought fresh energy, new ideas. She reorganized files, suggested software upgrades, laughed easily with the staff. Clients liked her. I liked watching her find her footing. It felt like legacy, not something handed down, but something shared. We had unspoken roles. I handled the big-picture decisions, client relationships built over decades. She handled logistics, scheduling, outreach. We didn't need to discuss it. It flowed. At home, we were still mother and daughter. Sunday dinners.
Complaints about laundry.
Quiet evenings with the television murmuring while we pretended not to be tired. If someone had told me then that boundaries can erode even in love, I would have smiled politely and changed the subject. The first clue was small. A calendar update I didn't recognize. I noticed it one morning while sipping coffee at my desk, the screen glowing softly in the half-light. A client meeting had been moved, not canceled, not discussed, just moved. The note said, "Adjusted for efficiency." I frowned, then shrugged. Lila had access to the calendar. It wasn't unusual. Still, something about the phrasing lingered. It didn't sound like her. Then there were meetings I wasn't invited to. Not big ones. Just internal strategy sessions. "You were busy," she said when I asked, not looking up from her laptop. I told myself I was imagining things. That's the dangerous part of trust, how easily it teaches you to doubt yourself. The office started to change in subtle ways. Furniture rearranged. New artwork on the walls. Abstract pieces I didn't choose. My assistant began checking with Lila before confirming things that used to come directly to me. One afternoon, I overheard Lila talking to a junior consultant near the copier. "She prefers not to be bothered with those details anymore," Lila said, her voice calm, almost kind.
She.
I stood still, hidden by the corner wall, my heart thudding softly, like it didn't want to make a scene. That night at home, I mentioned it gently. We were washing dishes, the water running warm over my hands. "You've been making a lot of decisions lately," I said. "Maybe we should check in more." She sighed just a little. "Mom, I'm trying to help. You've been tired." I wanted to tell her that tired didn't mean done. That help isn't help when it erases you. But the words stayed lodged in my chest, heavy and uncertain. Instead, I nodded. The day my access was revoked, no one warned me. The key card didn't work. My email password had been reset. My files were neatly transferred to a shared drive labeled archive. Lila arrived 20 minutes later, heels clicking confidently down the hall. She stopped when she saw me standing there. "Oh," she said. You're early. Early. In the office I built. What happened to my access? I asked quietly. She hesitated, just long enough for me to notice, then smiled, practiced and smooth. We're restructuring, she said. It's temporary. Temporary has a way of becoming permanent when no one pushes back. I followed her into the conference room instead of my office. The chair at the head of the table, the one I always used, was occupied by her laptop, open and waiting. That was when I felt it. Not anger.
Not yet. Loss.
The kind that creeps in slowly, disguised as progress. That night, I lay awake listening to the house settle. Pipes clicking. The faint buzz of the refrigerator. Lila's door closed down the hall. I realized then that this wasn't about work anymore. This was about boundaries we never drew. Authority we never defined. Love we assumed would protect us from harm. And somewhere between motherhood and management, I had let myself be quietly pushed aside. Not by an enemy, but by my own child. I didn't know yet how far it would go, or what it would cost us both. But I knew one thing with absolute clarity. Silence was no longer an option.